U.S. President Donald Trump says he's going to find out how good relations are after a Chinese summit that included leaders of Russia and India. According to Associated Press speaking to reporters, Trump said his relationship with the heads of China, India, and Russia are very good, but we're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. Trump called the ceremony at the summit hosted by China very, very impressive and beautiful, and that Chinese leader Xi Jinping, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin were hoping I was watching. He said he felt the United States was slighted by China by not getting more of an acknowledgement for its role in winning World War II. China held a parade to recognize the 80th anniversary of the war ending. Speaking alongside the visiting president of Poland Karol Nawrocki, Trump said U.S. troops would remain stationed in his country.
He did a good job with that, right? Gave me a little different pronunciation. I said, I want to get it perfect. Did I get it right?
Yeah, that. And it's very important for me. Our relations are based, of course, on the values.
Right.
Thank you very much for your support, for your endorsement.
Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Okay.
Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, do you know something I don't? I don't know. Yeah, we're very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want. But they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have more, not too many, but no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
Sir, on Russia and China, you, sir, can we ask about, we saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together, the first time the leaders of those three countries have been together in this sort of show of solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why you should slap or would consider slapping secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against the U.S. now?
Well, I've already done that with regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that. And I was the one that brought it up. I said, they're only doing this. They're looking to, when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office.
How do you know there's no? How do you know there's no action? Really? Wait. Who are you with?
I'm with the Polish media.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal, would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems. And that's what happened. So don't tell me about that. Would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia.
When are you going to make a decision on Ukraine, Mr. President?
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Sir, Venezuela, can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy?
The U.S. leader greeted his Polish counterpart at the south portico of the White House with a hearty shoulder slap and exchange of big smiles. According to Associated Press, Donald Trump and Karol Nawrocki stood side by side as 4 F-35 fighter jets flew over the White House, followed by another formation of 4 F-16s. Trump and Naraki then went inside together.
Ukrainian expert Oleg Zdanov drew attention to how solemnly and officially the heads of all countries except Russia were greeted in China. Putin was not treated very nicely, demonstrating with all gestures that he was a vassal of Xi Jinping and not a respected guest. Putin and China. Putin was showing off there, understandably. They invited him. True, they accepted him as the leader of a third country, a raw materials base. Incidentally, this all fits into one framework. They meet Aliyev. Aliyev arrives with his wife. The values that Putin promotes, he himself denies. He divorced his wife, that is, he could not save the family, he hides his children, daughters from the whole world, the military expert said. Everyone knows that Katerina Tikhonova is Putin's daughter, and she weaves intrigues around her father's administration. And the second daughter is married to a South Korean diplomat, lives in Holland, but Putin denies all of this and hides and keeps it all a secret, although he himself promotes family values. Oleg Zdanov added to the above. At the same time, the Ukrainian Armed Forces officer noted an important nuance. All the leaders arrived with their wives, but Putin, the illegitimate one, galloped in. They even organized such a meeting for him. Aliyev was met with dancing and tambourines. Erdogan was met with dancing and tambourines. And Putin was met by the Russian ambassador to China, together with the military attaché, and a representative of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs met him. He shook his hand and immediately got a kick in the ass. They shoved him into an Aurus and took him away. That's the whole story. You can immediately see who's boss. Recall Russia proudly reported on the growth of the trade with China, but the infographics published by the Kremlin propagandists from RIA Novosti clearly show the humiliating reality for the Russian Federation. Of the $69.6 billion of Russian exports to China, almost two-thirds are oil, gas, coal and other raw materials. In return, Moscow receives finished goods, equipment, cars, clothing, and cheap parcels. China is building its relations with Russia in the same way as with Africa, pumping out resources and raw materials from there as from the African continent. Until recently, Russia was a raw materials appendage of Europe, but after a full-scale invasion of Ukraine and the introduction of sanctions, it lost its Western markets. Now the Kremlin sells resources to China. but at large discounts and on much less favorable terms. In fact, Russia has become a raw materials colony of China, providing Beijing with energy and metals, and in return receiving cars and rags, as can be seen from the import structure. After the statistics appeared, a large number of bloggers wrote about this. Moreover, the oil industry in the Russian Federation itself is collapsing. Rosneft, Lukoil and other giants reported a collapse in profits by 2 to 3 times.